Hi, I'm Dr. Tuepenz.
And I'm Gaplord.
And we are
the Juice Crew Villans. Take one. That's a wrap.
Man, I was doing that shit on this other video. And after I got done doing it, you was like, yeah, well, ain't nobody even gonna see that. You don't even know you did all that shit. But it's funny.
I'm just living my life. I'm just living my life. I'm just living my life. I'm just living my life, and I'm not living it right, but I don't give a damn.
Today, everyone, it's me, Gaplord, your friend extraordinaire, and today we're going to discuss a topic that could be a little controversial, but we would like to get people's input, and we are sure that you will like ours. So today we're talking about, does medicalizing poor behavior remove the moral responsibility of a person? Let me repeat that again. Does medicalizing poor behavior remove the moral responsibility of a person? What do we mean when we say medicalizing? For me, it's describing common behaviors and flaws with a medical definition. But to be precise, it's to treat a medical problem, especially unwarrantedly. Excuse me, I know I messed that word up. So what do you think, Dr. Tuepenz?
Yes, most definitely. Essentially, it makes them victims. And when you start breaking down the word medicalization and what it's really about, it's the process in which conditions and behaviors are labeled and treated as medical issues. When you look at conditions and behaviors, all of that stuff is really just based off of how you think as a person. The condition you in is not necessarily the condition you're in, if that makes sense. And behaviors are things that are categorized as, the definition is the way in which one conducts oneself, especially towards others. Also, another word to describe it is mannerisms. So a certain mannerism is considered a medical issue, mental health issue.
Mm.
I just don't see how that could be. It's just the way you stand. It's the way you look. It's just how you look. It's not necessarily a medical issue when it comes to like the behaviors of a person. Behavior is really based off of who you are as a person and what you've been taught and what you believe in.
Okay, so to me, medicalizing kind of implies there's nothing you can do about it without medical attention. So if there's a behavior you have, that's just a behavior based on how you was raised, maybe, or your surroundings or environment, or just what you're accustomed to. Medicalizing makes it like you have to seek medical attention to solve this issue. That's what it implies to me. So my next question, do you feel things like ADHD are overdiagnosed?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Especially in children. A lot of people use that for the children. Of course, we've heard all of the conspiracies and all the stories about how they've done this, the kids they can't handle. In the public schools, and in most cases, if not all of them, in some areas, it's black kids. Now, I've seen it happen to white kids as well in a rich community. So, we can't say it's just all black kids, but it's obvious that some people don't want to deal with children. And the best way to deal with them is to put them on some drugs.
Well, working with children for many years, I can definitely tell you it's not mostly black children. It's a lot of children. But let me ask you this. Do you know which gender is primarily diagnosed with ADHD?
Males.
Yes, boys. So little boys are mostly diagnosed with ADHD. Why do you think that said gender is primarily diagnosed with ADHD?
Hard to handle. Boys are rambunctious. So when they get a little rowdy, they get out of control, and that teacher can't handle that 4-year-old or that 8-year-old. And they say, look, your kid got behavior problems. Mama don't know no better. She can barely handle them at the house. So what they do, they put them on the drugs. They dope them out. They get them high, Like I said, I've seen it in lower income, and I tutored a girl that was in a nice house, real, rich neighborhood, 6-figure earners out here, and they got on the dope. And you could see the change in her, you know what I'm saying? Opposed to just sitting there and taking the time and explaining things. This is why we do this now, and this is why we can't do this right now. It takes patience.
So it's safe to say that males and females are different?
Yes.
Because if males are being more diagnosed with ADHD, it's also safe to say that little boys might not do best in classroom sitting down situations and opposed, they might need to be more hands-on in doing things.
Yeah.
Versus a little girl maybe do very well in an office type sitting down setting. Or
I could definitely see that. I mean, it's just the, natural genetics. Boys are going to probably be a little bit more aggressive than the girls are in most cases anyway. Their outbursts will probably be a little bit more, disruptive and, bigger than that of a smaller, girl. Okay. Not saying little girls can't raise hell. You know what I'm saying? All kids got it, but them boys be different.
Okay, so is poor behavior oftentimes categorized as a mental health issue?
I haven't heard of any. Off the top of my head, I just know about the Adhd thing. Yeah. So I have to say, they try to categorize like poor behavior.
Hold on, what are you saying you haven't heard of?
The mental health disorders is like medical issues that are categorized from poor behavior. Like this person want to fight people, so they say what.
So you ain't heard of things like bipolar, schizophrenia?
I know they get to people who want to just fight people that be angry.
No, it's not saying that they want. I'm saying there's a behavior issue. Like they cause different behaviors in that person.
Okay.
So
I've heard of those.
Yeah. So those are two just to name a few, because there's thousands of them now. So I'm saying so bipolar, is two different personalities. One personality might be calm and relaxing. The other personality might be a little bit more aggressive, depending on that person. So I'm saying, is that poor behavior? Like sometimes, do you think that, being that I personally think that it might be a little bit overdiagnosed as far as some mental health, and we have people out here now diagnosing themselves without seeking help from a professional. So do you think that it is categorized so somebody's poor behavior is just them low morals is versus actually being a mental health issue? Mm-hmm. So do you think which one do you think it consists mostly of? Do you think it's mostly of low morals and poor behavior?
I'm going to say low morals and poor behavior.
Okay.
I'll just chalk it to that. After a while, thoughts become actions and actions become habits and habits become a lifestyle.
Message!
Okay, so do you think there's a resolution for this poor behavior or low morale for these people who are acting out and blaming it on a mental health issue?
Yes.
What's the resolution?
Take accountability. Accountability, what did I write about accountability? The thing about it is, when you don't have accountability, taking away, lack of accountability creates criminals. You know what I'm saying? They think they have the right to go out and rob and steal, and they justify it based on how they feel. You see what I'm saying? If it rhymes, it's true. So, I think holding people accountable and make them be accountable for their actions will make them change their ways and see that, hey, it's not so much a mental medical issue. It's just me not wanting to be what I'm supposed to be.
So do you have any examples of any poor behavior that has been categorized as a mental health issue? Like, do anything you can think of that's like that kid is just acting this way because of this, but they call it this?
I mean, just going back to the kids in class, bouncing around, acting like you can't control them. But if you put them in a certain environment and hit them with a certain set of rules, then it's gonna naturally change them. If you hold them to a certain standard, that would change them. Now, I'm not saying this is easy with all kids, controlling kids and stuff like that. But I think if more parents took accountability upon themselves and held their kids to a different set of standards and held them to some type of accountability, then that would change before you go into the schools. There's so many different examples, though. People say they bipolar, but, they just want to just act crazy. Whenever somebody says something to them that's crazy, they just say, well, you know what? I'm going to use my bipolarness as an excuse to be dysfunctional. And that's when it starts to become a problem. There are some people who do have something wrong with their mind, that they were born with some type of situation that they've been through, that they actually have an issue that they need help working out. But in especially America, in in the 2020s, the early 20s, I guess, of the 2000s, everybody has something wrong with them.
Do you think that's many or the few who actually have the people versus who really have something wrong with them? Do you think that's the many or the few?
I think it's the few.
Okay.
I think it's definitely the few. One of the greatest things, the average person in America, the biggest thing wrong with the average person in America, and I've said this before, is working after high school. That's one of the most traumatic things for y'all, because nobody want to go to work. Everybody had to suffer through high school trying to be cool, and get laid and have a girlfriend or boyfriend you wanted, and then you get out, you finally graduated. Yay, we graduated to work.
You think that's traumatic?
For some people, yes.
Man,
For some people, a lot of people actually, because them people that get stuck in the call center jobs and at the warehouse, and then have kids.
I mean, I would compare living in a third world country and paying for school to even go to school and graduate.
Man, that's something totally
Those people
different.
would be very proud to be working in a call center.
I'm talking about America. I'm talking about America. Okay, no. I don't know nothing about that over there. You done been. I ain't left this soil. We're talking about America.
Okay, so I'm talking about in general, but
right.
Okay, so do you think mental health is subjective?
Yes.
Okay, do you feel like it's become trendy?
Very trendy.
Huh. Okay, so let's define mental health first. It's a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. So, how could someone ever define or break down someone's personal psychological being? Is it based off of books that they read and were taught by someone, right?
Yeah.
And they tell you if this person displays this type of behavior, this type of behavior, this type of behavior, this is the issue?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that's always true?
No, because you can go in there and say anything.
Based on your emotional...
How you feel at the time, yeah.
Just
go in there and say how you feel. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that don't count. Like when they do them DUI assessments and they go in there, they ask you, are you crazy or not? Are you crazy? And you gonna be like, yeah. No, you're gonna be like, no, I'm trying to get up out of the situation. So no, I'm not crazy.
Yeah. And this isn't to dismiss anyone who's really struggling with any issues.
Oh no, for sure.
But the whole goal is just to tell people to overcome it and not have people tell you that something's wrong with you, and it's really something that's within self that you can overcome. So we're not saying that, like, no one should settle and be like, yay, that's what it seems, just be looking on social media. It seems like people celebrate having mental health issues. And to me, that's kind of weird. It's like, hey, I was diagnosed with blah, 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 blah. And it's like, that's not something to be proud of or, to celebrate. Overcoming it should be something you celebrate and be proud of. So,
yeah, I don't see a lot of that.
Really?
I haven't
but you
seen
also
too much.
said you don't be in the world, so.
Yeah.
I would.
I just don't. But I mean, I be on social media, but I see people talking about, dealing with stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm dealing with it, and I'm going through it. Getting that online sympathy.
Yeah, I'll send you some videos so you can kind of see. I'll send you some videos and some stuff, and you can kind of see for yourself.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, it's become very trendy.
People overcoming it or just
no, people like today I was diagnosed with like why are you telling us this? It's like it's not an accomplishment. It's not something you want to be proud of. And I'm proud because I've been trying to figure out why this was going on in my life or blah blah blah. And it's just like no, let's not celebrate these things. Let's overcome them. But again, I think it's loosely based and it's overdiagnosed on many of these conditions. And I think it's something that most people can overcome. Dare I say all, but I'm no doctor, as you are. So.
Right. Well, I'll say all. Everyone can overcome everything. So how bad you want to work for it, Just join the pain. Sometimes you got to withstand through the flame and burn.
Yeah, it's another thing. It's like I think it teaches people not to overcome things. It teaches people to deal with them instead of overcoming them. And I think life is much better when you overcome instead of dealing with it forever or finding an out for, you want to find an out for it and not deal with it and mask it with medicines and, expecting sympathy for your so-called mental health issues. My ideal is just to overcome it.
But it's all about the money. Every mental health issue turns into another one because this makes people victims. And that's one of my mental health issues that I've discovered in people is victimhood syndrome. And when people become victims, they try to make other people their victims. They become predators. Victims become predatory people that seek to unleash their emotional baggage upon anybody around them.
What'd you call that again? Victim what?
Victimhood syndrome.
Yeah, give me. You got any examples of victimhood syndrome?
The blacks. How the blacks is always just like, you know, I done had it. It's what they call it, systematic depression. Like
Oppression.
it's like it's traveled from slavery into my DNA now. So now I'm oppressed, and I can't, and I'm depressed, and I'm this and I'm that, and it's like you putting labels on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not you right now. That may happen to them, but that ain't you.
Yeah, I had
you gotta learn to step away from that kind of stuff.
I had a debate with a white guy telling me how oppressed I was, and
he trying to get you, bro.
Yeah, it's like there's nothing you can do to make me believe that I'm oppressed and can't achieve what you achieve.
Victimhood syndrome.
So yeah, I
can
see that.
You got VHS. The blacks got VHS.
Ain't you black?
Nah, the blacks and the black people are two different things.
So could you tell us what that is?
The blacks are a group of people who identify as black but act and behave like dysfunctional animals. The blacks.
What's the other? What do you say?
And black people, just regular black people. That's you know, got morals and got some type of sense. You know, maybe they ain't always perfect, but they always looking to be.
Got you. That's deep. He woke. So, you know, you guys let us know what you think. How do you feel about these things? Does medicalizing poor behavior remove the moral responsibility of a person's behavior? You heard our 2 cents. Anything to leave them with, Dr. Tuepenz?
While you're at it, like, subscribe, let your people know what we're doing out here. Comment below, and we'll see you next time. Up in here. Somebody will fuck my office up. My crazy bitch. You better took the house. That's all I was thinking about. I know who
Don't fuck with nobody if that body.
How you doing, sir?
Say I'm the truth, bully the hype. This ain't a movie, baby, this is my life. Baby, this is
I've
my
been
life.
rapping my whole life. I ain't been rapping that long. Life is short, my nigga.
I couldn't write a verse in jail, couldn't get a vibe there. Surrounded by depression, no niggas in wheelchairs. Just to tease me. Sandwich with the wrong side of the bread. Thought I made it by a landslide, but instead I'm still hungover. Sometimes I make the